Hello, Stand Up Retail family.
Hi guys.
We hope that you are doing well and are ready for another episode about some critical topics that are great for anyone determined to excel at work and move forward with their career goals. Whether you're in retail, which is our specialty, or another industry, a lot of what we're going to talk about today is transferable to any industry. And is part of our core foundational self-development series. So I would have to say that one of the most frequent questions I would get as a senior level leader was, how do I get from X to Y? When they had no clarity of how to do it, they really needed guidance. And I was thinking about self-development tools, and why I landed on this topic for this episode was because I got asked that so many times, Edward. So today we're going to kind of dig into that. So we're going to talk about questions that you can ask your supervisor or other mentors that you might have in your work location or even outside your work location. We're going to talk about resources that your organization may have that help you really excel within their structure or their framework, going towards their culture as well as their mission. We're going to talk about how to cultivate advocates for your career development that will keep you on that path and help you navigate that path. And we're also going to talk about goal setting just a little bit because it's great to know where you're going, but if you don't have an actionable plan in place to get you there, it's kind of like shooting for the moon, but really not understanding what needs to go into it to get there. So let's go right into topic number one. Asking questions. Ed, questions are so important. And as an employee and as a leader, we often struggle with the questions we should ask and end up just talking to coworkers about our frustrations and about what we don't understand. If you were to ask yourself, what do I want? Ultimately, where do I want to go? If you know that, you can then go into, say, your annual review with your supervisor and ask the question, this is what I want. This is what my goal is for myself. Right. Is it a realistic goal for me starting from my current role? Like, that's how you can take a question and ask it to both yourself as well as to frame it slightly differently to your supervisor. Because if you know what you want, but you can't get there from here.
Exactly.
Like your supervisor will be able to then say, well, actually where we need to place you, if that's what you're interested in, is over in this lane or this function. And right now we can, because you're strong in these skills, or, unfortunately we can't because you haven't demonstrated some of these skills. But now that I know you are interested in that, let's work on building those skills to move you into the appropriate lane. No supervisor wants to transition somebody out of an organization. They offered employment because they saw value and that you could provide value. It's your employer and your relationship that really figures out where can you go to provide the most value and the most satisfaction for yourself. So I think those questions are awesome, Ed. Thank you. Topic number two. All right. So you mentioned it in, your response previously, skill assessment. It is really, really important to be able to accurately hold the mirror up and assess what you're good at, what you struggle with, and what you really don't know yet. If you want to aggressively move up within an organization, any organization, I think it's so important that you have that self-awareness and practice this skill assessment often. Ed, how do you like to assess your own skills in terms of giving yourself a check-in about, am I on the right track?
Yeah, it's to your point, exactly what you said. the key part to it is that you have to assess your own skills. You know your skill sets just as well as your leader or someone who, or your mentor or someone that's leading you. You have to self-assess those skill sets. And a lot of times what I find us as individuals is we tend to look at our strengths and that's all we focus on, because we don't really want to look at the weaknesses because we're trying to move forward.
Oh, yeah, we build up our strengths and we minimize our weaknesses because we feel that by showing that vulnerability or that lack of expertise is a fault, and it truly isn't. It truly isn't. It actually is the mark of a very self-aware and motivated and determined and engaged employee to have that level of vulnerability and say, I'm not good at this, I need help with it, because when I become good at it, I will add more value.
Right.
So the third one is really understanding what resources your organization has in order to help teach you how to excel within their framework. So again, another question I would always get asked as a senior leader is, I want to learn X, where do I go? Where can people go, Edward, if they really don't know how to learn in their role?
Right. I would definitely say the first step would be is to look into your local administrative team, see what there is, within there, and then that support that you get from your leader, tap into that. Your leader can also be someone that could help put you on the right path. And then there's always HR. There's always some type of learning and development department or key person that you could go to that will help you identify, different structures or how your organization is set up. We've always said that, every organization has some type of learning development for their teams. It's just that, finding that resource in some places, unfortunately, are not that easy. You have to be pretty resourceful and
yeah, you might also have to take partnership to get access to some of those things.
Exactly.
And those, the people you outlined, the administrative team, who is local to your workspace, is probably the first place you should go, because they'll know, based on the fact that they know your role, your level, they'll know all of your access. Right. And if you're looking to do something that's outside of that access, they can help probably facilitate getting you access. Most likely easier than your direct supervisor could.
For sure.
Because most local administrative teams are the ones who are actually in charge of trainings and compliance, and they kind of have an inside track into that whole localized learning for the team in your area.
Yeah. And a lot of them will know where to point you in the right direction.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a lengthy conversation either. It can be, hey, I want to become a sales manager, or hey, I want to transfer into merchandising and I want to, take a couple of trainings on it. Where do I have access and where can I go to get that access? And they should be able to answer you relatively quick. So it's not like you're going to have to waste an entire hour lunch break to be able to figure out the answer to it. Number 4 that we talked about covering earlier is really building meaningful relationships and creating advocates for your development. And all of that kind of comes down to a topic that's near and dear to Edward's heart. The topic called "This is not networking." Creating advocates is not getting somebody to give you a recommendation,
right?
Or networking. It really requires, like Ed talked about it on a previous episode, it's more about creating a meaningful relationship where there's give and there's take, and creating more of an advocate is also a mentor. So, not only do you want to be able to identify who can help you along the way, help guide you along your career path, but you also have to understand what you bring to that relationship.
Right.
There has to be value of the relationship for both parties. Have meaningful relationships, because you will be able to rely on that guidance a lot longer, throughout your career and throughout your life, than just that immediate need.
Right.
Lastly, understanding your path means you've done the legwork, you've figured it out, but you got to create actionable and realistic goals to help propel you along that career path. And the beauty is that you understand your starting point, you know your skills, you know the skills you might need, you understand what options you have moving vertically and horizontally to still get to the same point you want to get. You have a bunch of people that you know you can rely on to help move you along that and guide you and teach you to get you to where you want to end up. But you still have to create actions, because having the knowledge and being able to use the knowledge to get someplace are two different things.
Right.
And as humans, we tend to do all the research, and we tend to make all of the complicated things that are within our control, and then slow down and make goals that are unrealistic, or just expect that something's going to happen because we know what we want. It takes work, but that's really the episode, is kind of going through those 5 things, those 5 actions that you really need to, as an employee, a leader, or an hourly, you need to be comfortable doing so you truly understand your path. In closing, it is so important. You mentioned the word power, Edward. It is so important to understand that your advancement is no one else's responsibility, but your own.
Yep.
And that's a very powerful understanding. If you want it, you go after it.
Don't let anyone tell you can't have it.
Don't let anyone tell you that you can't have it, but also don't expect someone is going to give it to you.
Right.
So, you are the one who gets yourself promoted. It's not your boss. Your boss might help you by teaching you things that make you ready to get promoted, but you are the one putting in the work. You are the one putting in the actions. You are the one gaining skill, and you are the one adding value. So the power you hold over your own development is massive.
Yep.
And that is a core understanding that everyone who watches our videos or listens to our podcast or even reads our companion articles should really, truly understand. So, Ed, you want to take them out? Tell us what we're talking about next week, and anything else?
Yeah. Well, before we jump into next week's topic, I want to say first that please like, subscribe, follow, share, ask, comment on our in our comment section, and feel free to send us any information that you may want us to delve into. As far as our next week topic, it still connects the dots to everything that we've talked about on this journey to self-investing in your, self-investing. And the next topic we're going to talk about transferable skills and, changing lanes at work. What does that look like? So that is what we're going to talk about in our next episode. So,
awesome. I'm looking forward to it. It's an important topic, and one that I think a lot of people can get a lot of value out of. So, but for now, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching all the way through. As always, walk with a purpose, no matter where you are or what you're doing. And as always, we see you, we hear you, we appreciate you. And remember, you are more in control than you might think. And until next time, see you later.
Bye, guys.